The deadly comfort of routine. Why familiarity is the enemy of growth. There's a silent poison in your life. You can't see it, but you feel it. It's the constant feeling of being stuck, the whisper of regret for a life you're not living. It's the lie they sold you that comfort and routine are the same as happiness. They are not. This is a mental revolution. In the next few minutes, you will learn the forbidden truths about growth and why your own mind is the biggest obstacle. This is your last chance for clarity. The conversation starts now. 1. The psychological addiction to same. The first thing you'd learn from a deep dive into Munger's wisdom on this topic is that your brain is designed to be lazy. It loves routine because routine is efficient. It reduces cognitive load, saving the immense energy required for conscious thought. Your brain creates shortcuts or mental maps for everything you do repeatedly. This is great for simple tasks like tying your shoes, but for complex challenges like growing your wealth or your mind, it's a psychological addiction to same. Your brain releases a little hit of dopamine every time it successfully completes a familiar task. This creates a powerful feedback loop that tricks you into believing that stagnation is progress. It tells you that the path of least resistance is the path of wisdom. Munger would argue that the biggest killer of great ideas is not a bad market or a bad economy. It's the sheer psychological momentum of doing what you've always done. You continue with the same investment strategy, the same career path, and the same old beliefs, not because they are the best, but because they are the easiest. Your own familiarity is holding you back. He would say that a mind on autopilot is a mind that is dying. This is not about external forces. This is a quiet, personal sabotage that happens the moment you stop questioning why you do what you do. It's the difference between a person who is a thinker and a person who is just a reactor. He'd challenge you. If you were to look at your life today, how many of your decisions are truly your own, and how many are just the result of a habit you fell into a long time ago? 2. The compounding cost of good enough. As you sit there, you'd feel the weight of this truth. The price of comfort is far more than just missed opportunities. It's a compounding cost. He'd explain that every day you choose to be comfortable, you are paying a hidden tax on your future self. It's the quiet erosion of your skills, your ambition, and your mental fortitude. The gap between where you are and where you could be widens a little bit every single day. This is the insidious nature of complacency. It doesn't present as a sudden failure. It's a slow, quiet decline. He'd use the analogy of a pilot who only ever flies on a sunny, clear day. When a storm comes, he's helpless. Most people are flying on a sunny, clear day. They have a routine, a path, and they don't prepare for the storm. He'd tell you that your anxiety comes from the subtle knowledge that you are unprepared for the future. The feeling that something is missing, that you are not living up to your full potential, is a warning signal. It is the emotional interest on the debt of your comfort, and it is silently accumulating in the background of your life. The world rewards those who are prepared for the worst, not those who are comfortable in the present. And then he'd ask you, when was the last time you felt truly challenged? When was the last time you were truly scared? If you can't remember, you are paying the toll of the same old path. 3. The unconscious blind spot of success. You'd then talk to him about a paradox. He'd tell you that success is often the single biggest cause of stagnation. He would call it the unconscious blind spot of success. He'd explain that when you succeed at something, your brain creates a powerful link between what you did and the positive outcome. This is the association bias at work. It tells you, this method works, stick to it. This becomes a cognitive bias that makes you blind to new, better ideas. He'd use the example of a company like Nokia or Blockbuster. Their past successes made them so rigid that they were completely blind to the future, unable to see the looming threat of the iPhone or Netflix. They were victims of their own success. Their past victories built a psychological wall around their future vision. He would tell you that the most dangerous belief you can hold is that what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. The world is constantly changing, and your past success is not a guarantee of future performance. It is a psychological weight that you must actively fight to shed. True innovators are not the ones who won yesterday. They are the ones who are willing to abandon yesterday's victory to win tomorrow. 4. The Munger method, a perpetual state of beginner's mind. Most people spend their lives trying to become an expert in one single thing. They find one field, one strategy, one career path, and they stick to it. Munger would call this the psychology of the expert. He'd say that it's a trap. When you become a supposed expert, you stop learning. You become rigid. You are no longer open to new ideas. He'd say that the arrogance of expertise is one of the most dangerous psychological forces in the world. It makes you blind to new information because you believe you already have all the answers. Munger, along with Warren Buffett, lived his life in a perpetual state of a beginner's mind. He actively resisted being labeled an expert in a single domain. Instead, he constantly read about different fields: history, psychology, physics, and more. He did this to ensure his mind never became lazy. He never wanted to be the man with a single hammer. He wanted to be a student of reality, open to all tools. He'd argue that the only way to avoid the arrogance of expertise is to always be seeking new knowledge from outside your comfort zone, to always be the student. He'd explain that the most powerful thing you can do to combat the deadly comfort of routine is to intentionally place yourself in situations where you are a beginner again. Force yourself to learn something new, to read a book on a subject you know nothing about, or to challenge a core belief. It's uncomfortable, but it's the only way to stay mentally agile. 5. The tyranny of the first idea. Why your brain sabotages you. You'd talk to Munger about how you analyze new opportunities. He'd smile and say, "You probably stopped after the first good idea you had." He'd explain a dangerous cognitive bias that most people are completely unaware of: the tyranny of the first idea. Our brains are designed to find a quick, efficient solution to a problem and then stick to it. Once you find a workable plan, your mind stops looking for a better one. This is a fatal flaw in a world that is constantly changing. The first idea is almost never the best idea. It's just the first one that worked. It's the reason why companies fail, why people stay in bad relationships, and why investors miss out on massive opportunities. Munger would say that the human mind is a search engine that shuts down after the first result. It is a fundamental design flaw that you must actively fight. He'd tell you that your mind is lazy and it will try to take the easiest route to a conclusion. Munger would tell you that true wisdom is the discipline of constantly searching for the second, third, and fourth idea, even after you've found a good one. He'd say that you must ruthlessly question your initial conclusions and actively seek to invalidate your own best thoughts. He'd look you in the eye and say, "Your first idea is a trap. Don't fall for it." 6. The compounding effect of discomfort. You'd bring up the topic of compounding, thinking about money, but he'd correct you. He would say that the most powerful form of compounding is the compounding of discomfort. He'd explain that every time you choose to step outside of your routine to have a difficult conversation, to learn a new skill, to read a book on a challenging topic, you are investing in yourself. These small acts of discomfort don't feel like much in the short term, but they compound. In a year, you are a different person. In a decade, you have an intellectual and emotional advantage that is impossible to beat. He'd tell you that while the rest of the world is compounding their comfort and their stagnation, you are compounding your growth. This is the difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of vibrant, continuous expansion. He'd say that your discomfort is a signpost. If you are not uncomfortable, you are not growing. He'd tell you that your goal should not be to seek comfort, but to seek the productive pain of growth. 7. The arbitrage of unlearning. Your greatest edge. You'd bring up the speed of change in the world. He'd agree and say that while the world changes, human psychology does not. He'd then explain a concept that is the ultimate secret weapon for fighting against routine, the arbitrage of unlearning. He'd tell you that the world is filled with people who are emotionally and intellectually invested in their old ideas. They are too stubborn to proud, or too lazy to admit they are wrong. This is the arbitrage of unlearning. When others are clinging to their outdated beliefs, you have an opportunity to move forward, to adapt, and to get an enormous edge. You can profit from their psychological rigidity. This is not just about changing your mind. It's about making a conscious decision to give up a belief, a strategy, or a habit that is no longer serving you. It's a painful but profitable process. He'd say that while others are holding on to their emotional baggage, you are moving forward, unburdened, and ready to capitalize on a new reality. He'd tell you that the hardest part of being wrong is admitting it, but the most profitable part is acting on it. He'd ask you, are you willing to let go of an idea that has made you successful in the past to become even more successful in the future? 8. The Munger test for a failing mind. As the night continues, he'd give you a new, more profound test. He'd say that to truly know if your mind is failing, you must ask a different set of questions. He would call it the Munger test for a failing mind. He'd say, ask yourself, when was the last time a new piece of information caused you to fundamentally change your opinion on a subject you thought you understood? When was the last time you apologized for being wrong? When was the last time you had a conversation with someone you profoundly disagree with and learned something from them? If your answer to these questions is never, your mind is not growing. It is shrinking. He'd say that a mind that doesn't change is a mind that is already dead. He would say that a closed mind is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. It is the most comfortable place to live, but it is also the most dangerous. 9. The danger of the good enough life. The real enemy of greatness. You'd ask him about his greatest regret. He wouldn't talk about money. He would say that the biggest mistake most people make is that they settle. They settle for a good enough life. They settle for a good enough career, a good enough relationship, and a good enough body. They give up on a truly great life because the good one is so much easier. He would tell you that a truly great life is not one without problems. It's one where you are constantly pushing your own boundaries and living up to your full potential. The deadly comfort of routine is what tricks you into believing that good enough is all you are capable of. It whispers in your ear that the hard work is not worth the risk. He'd say that the only way to avoid a life of regret is to constantly ask yourself, am I living up to my potential? He'd tell you that the quiet life of mediocrity is a tragedy because it's a life you chose out of fear, not out of passion. 10. The Andy schedule. Creating space for the unplanned. You'd talk about the busyness of modern life. He'd agree and then tell you a secret. He and Warren Buffett kept their schedules intentionally empty. He'd call it the Andy schedule. He'd explain that a life filled with back-to-back meetings and obligations is a life that has no room for the unexpected. There is no time for a spontaneous idea, for a random conversation that leads to a great insight, or for a moment of quiet reflection. He'd tell you that the most valuable part of their day was the time they had with no plans at all. That empty space was where the compounding of ideas happened. The empty space is where the magic happens. He'd say that if you are always busy, you are simply reacting to the world's demands, not creating your own. 11. The unpopular truth of solitude. You'd talk about the social pressure to be constantly connected. He would smile and tell you a deeply unpopular truth. Solitude is a superpower. He would explain that in a world where everyone is clamoring for attention, the ability to be alone, to think, to read, and to learn is a profound competitive advantage. He'd say that solitude is not a form of antisocial behavior. It is a necessary discipline for growth. It is the only place where you can hear your own thoughts, where you can challenge your own biases, and where you can build your intellectual fortress. He'd say that the noise of the crowd is designed to keep you from hearing the truth in your own mind. To be a great thinker, you must first be a great loner. He'd say, the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones you have with yourself. Are you having them? 12. The dangers of a closed loop. He would then tell you about a psychological trap he called the closed loop. He'd say that most people are living inside of one. A closed loop is when you only consume information from sources you already agree with. You only talk to people who share your opinions. You only read books that confirm your beliefs. He'd say that this is the death of critical thinking. It is a comfortable mental prison where you are always right and never challenged. He'd say that this is a direct result of our need for social proof and validation. We want to be surrounded by people who agree with us because it makes us feel smart and safe, but it's a psychological illusion. He'd tell you that you must actively seek out the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. You must read from authors you disagree with. You must have conversations with people who challenge your core beliefs. He'd say that the comfort of a closed loop is a psychological prison. The only way to escape is to intentionally seek out a different perspective. He'd ask you, what's one thing you believe with all your heart that you'd be willing to test right now? 13. The final act of courage, embracing the void. The night is almost over. He would leave you with one final, profound lesson. He would say that the difference between a life of growth and a life of stagnation comes down to a single, courageous act. He would call it embracing the void. He'd explain that the void is the uncomfortable, uncertain space that exists when you leave a comfortable routine and have not yet found a new one. The void is where true growth happens. It is where new ideas are born. Most people run away from it. They cling to a bad job, a bad relationship, or a bad idea because the void is terrifying. But Munger would tell you that the void is a gift. It is an opportunity to rebuild, to reinvent, and to create something better. He'd say that the only way to find a truly great life is to be willing to leave a good one behind. He'd say that the most important question you can ask yourself is not what should I do, but what should I stop doing? He'd leave you with this final, powerful challenge. Are you brave enough to step into the void? The conclusion, your final choice, and just like that, the conversation is over. He is gone. The truths he shared are now yours. The blueprint is in your hands, but it's worthless unless you act on it. This is not a passive experience. This is a choice, a single life-altering choice you must make now, a vote for the future you want to build. If this conversation gave you a glimpse of the clarity you've been searching for, there's only one thing to do. Hit that like button to make a quiet vow to yourself that you're done with the deadly comfort of routine. Let it be the first act of your rebellion. And if you are truly serious about forging a mind of steel and starting your own journey, then subscribe now. This is your first step. It's a small act that separates you from the crowd and puts you on a new path. Your life will never be the same. The next move is yours.